Alright, so let's rewind to August 1971, when Professor Philip Zimbardo kicked off a study that would go down as one of the most notorious psychology experiments in history, the Stanford Prison Experiment. This wasn't just some ordinary college project. Zimbardo wanted to answer a question that still freaks people out today. Does giving someone power make them abusive, or is cruelty just part of human nature? Yeah, this was about to get really dark. Before we jump in, don't forget to subscribe to The Dark Shelf for more mysterious, shocking, and mind-bending stories. Drop a comment about other twisted psychology experiments or real-life conspiracies you want to see next. Here's the deal. In the early 70s, both the US Navy and Marine Corps were curious about how hierarchies worked in military prisons. They wanted to understand how power, control, and obedience shaped behavior. So Zimbardo got a grant from the Office of Naval Research to explore this, focusing on the dynamic between guards and prisoners. The goal was to see whether people acted cruel because of their environment or because of who they were inside. To get participants, Zimbardo placed an ad in the classifieds. Male college students needed for psychological study of prison life. $15 per day for 2 weeks. 70 applicants showed up, and they went through interviews and personality assessments. Anyone with a criminal history, substance abuse issues, psychological problems, or serious personality disorders got the boot. Physical disabilities also eliminated candidates. At the end of this filtering process, 24 white male college students were chosen. They were completely clueless about the emotional roller coaster ahead. The participants were randomly split into 2 groups, prisoners and guards. 9 were active in each group, plus 3 alternates. On August 17th, the experiment officially kicked off when real police officers from Palo Alto came and arrested the prisoners at their homes. Not staged, actual arrests. They were taken to the station, mugshots snapped, fingerprints recorded, blindfolded, and transported to a holding cell. Finally, they were brought to the mock prison in Stanford's Jordan Hall basement. Now, this prison wasn't some cardboard set. It was meticulously designed. Cells were equipped with bars, numbers, and space for 3 people. A solitary confinement closet was installed. Rules included mandatory blindfolds before bathroom trips and a chain on each prisoner's ankle. The intent, total dehumanization. Guards got full uniforms, whistles, nightsticks, and mirrored sunglasses. Many looked like they were auditioning for Cool Hand Luke. Prisoners, by contrast, were stripped, deloused, and issued ill-fitting smocks and sandals. No underwear, just nylon caps instead of shaved heads. Each prisoner had a number, and they were addressed exclusively by that number. The stage was set for psychological chaos. Zimbardo himself acted as superintendent, and David Jaffe was the warden. Guards were instructed to maintain order, using any method short of physical violence, although harassment, food deprivation, and random punishment were allowed. Guards rotated in 8-hour shifts, while off-duty guards were on call for emergencies. The first night already set the tone. Guards woke prisoners at 2:30 a.m. with whistles for a head count. Some prisoners resisted, so guards made them do push-ups. By the second day, tensions boiled over. Prisoners rebelled. They tore off numbers, removed caps, and barricaded their cells with beds. Guards were shocked and called reinforcements, using fire extinguishers to force prisoners out. One prisoner ended up naked in solitary confinement, his bed removed so he had to sleep on the floor. Brutal. The guards quickly adapted a divide-and-conquer strategy. Well-behaved prisoners were sent to a privileged cell, with access to uniforms, proper beds, and better meals. Others were denied basic needs, food, and even had to use buckets instead of toilets at night. The guards would randomly shuffle prisoners around to create distrust and confusion. Within hours, the environment spiraled. Prisoners were stripped of privacy, dignity, and autonomy. By the 3rd day, things escalated. Guards began inventing new punishments, often just for amusement. Prisoners were forced to stand for hours, perform meaningless tasks, or grovel for tiny favors. Over time, the guards' authority became absolute, and prisoners became submissive. Some guards genuinely enjoyed the power and invented creative forms of humiliation, while others followed rules more fairly. Zimbardo categorized them into 3 types: tough but fair, do-gooders, and sadistic power lovers. Within 36 hours, prisoner Doug Corpy suffered an acute emotional breakdown, crying uncontrollably, yelling, and acting erratically. The guards tried to exploit him as a snitch, but his condition was severe enough that he had to be released. This was the experiment's first real casualty. By day 6, Zimbardo organized a mock parole board. Prisoners were allowed to argue why they deserved release. It was here that researchers realized the participants had completely internalized their roles. They weren't acting anymore. They truly believed they were inmates. Similarly, Zimbardo himself admitted he had started thinking more like a superintendent than a psychologist. One dramatic case involved prisoner number 819, who refused to leave when offered the chance. Fellow inmates labeled him a bad prisoner, and he felt trapped by their judgment. Zimbardo personally had to intervene, reminding him that the prison wasn't real and that he wasn't truly an inmate. Only then did number 819 agree to exit the study. The turning point came when PhD student Christina Maslach interviewed the prisoners and confronted Zimbardo about the suffering she witnessed. She asked, "How can you just watch this happen and not stop it?" That confrontation finally made him recognize how deeply he had become absorbed in the superintendent role, and he immediately decided to end the experiment prematurely. The Stanford prison experiment is still hotly debated today. Critics argue it wasn't scientifically rigorous, pointing out that guards were influenced by instructions from Zimbardo and staff. Even Zimbardo himself has admitted that it functioned more as a demonstration than a controlled study. Later analysis suggested that social pressure, expected behavior, and group dynamics played massive roles in the outcome. Despite the controversy, the experiment offers a chilling look at human behavior under power and control. Ordinary people, when placed in oppressive conditions, can quickly adopt roles that defy morality and empathy. It's a dark reminder of how context can shape actions far beyond personality alone. So, what would you have done in this situation? Could you resist authority, or would you crumble like the prisoners? Let us know in the comments. And if you're curious about more dark experiments, mysterious history, and psychological twists, make sure to explore these other videos from the Dark Shelf.